This is James Robertson with WorkSpace Real Estate, and today we're going to have some fun here. I have a tax office client that has several tax offices they plan on putting into the Houston market within the next few months. So we're going to be doing a deep dive in to the Hispanic demographic because that's our focus right now for this particular tax office. So we're going to look at the hotspots in Houston and hopefully come away with some great properties. Now, a tax office will typically work in a small footprint of 500 to maybe 1,500 square feet tops. What's optimal is probably close to 800 to 1,100 square feet of space. So we're going to look for existing retail in the Houston market, and I'm going to focus on where I know the hotspots are for activity in the Hispanic demographic, and that's just based on my experience of doing deals here. Along 45 is going to be a strong area. Right about here. Okay, and there's a few others as well. 59 in Chimney Rock is probably the densest area for the Hispanic demographic as of right now based on the last census. So let me see if I can make sure I'm getting 59 in Chimney Rock here. Okay, it's right about there. So we have this swath here. Now you also have the more affluent area with Hispanic demographics going to be inside the loop on the east end. So we're going to include that as well. Now that's really broad, but I'm going to show you why in a minute. You know, you can see how out of all this space there's only a few options. That's because I'm going so narrow with the available space. It's really important when you're looking at options to make sure to screen out everything that you know won't work. For example, I'm not going to look at retail that's over 1,500 square feet because I know that there's no way my client is going to need all that space. That's just wasted money. So I could screen even further and get the rental rates down here, but I generally stay away from that because I like to show my clients everything that's available within the size range they want, and then it's up to them whether or not they need to tweak the budget. Sometimes it's possible to increase the budget, sometimes it's not. You just have to live with what's in your range. So I could go to 1960 as well, and I probably should. Let's go ahead and include that. So 1960 is funny in this market because when you're on 45 here, you know, this is probably income per capita is one of the lowest areas. We're talking about less than $30,000 per person per year, especially around here. This has gotten pretty bad. I wouldn't put anybody on this side. This part's starting to get bad too. Along six. I'm sorry. Let me zoom in real quick. So this is starting to get pretty rough also as we look down 1960, and then it's gradually getting better as you go further down 1960 here, especially toward 249. So when you look at big retailers, people are generally saying, hey, let's go ahead and put ourselves past this part here on 1960, past Willowbrook Mall. So that's just how demographics have happened, and that's due in large part. If you ask people around this neighborhood, it's because that's where Metro expands their bus lines. Certain demographics are certainly they're sort of busing themselves to certain areas for reasons I'm not sure all the way because they don't live up there, and they'll do their business and come back down. So we're noticing that where Metro is expanding their bus lines, businesses are generally trying to move away from. So that's something, I know that's not politically correct, but I'm talking about from a business perspective, and my clients want to know things like that. So we do want to stay away from, in this particular case, because it's a tax office, and the lower income demographic is something that we're okay with doing. We're not running away from the bus lines, but we want to keep in mind where they are because they do affect the type of clientele that are going to come in. And if you want that clientele that's perfect, we move toward it. But if you don't, then we have to move away from it. So let's go ahead and take a look at these options here. Based on what I'm looking at, I don't think there were any other options along 1960. I can try to isolate this a little bit and see if there's going to be something else. And I'm just going to do a corridor search. This is a great tool that allows us to just look along the road. So I don't really have to do a boundary. And I'm going to go along the best parts of 1960, and there you go. There's a lot of them. Okay, so we got 66 properties here. Let's take a closer look at these and see what we got. Now, I get people all the time that ask me, about the prices of properties. They're looking at a building and they see a sign up and they're like, how much is that for rent? And they ask a broker like myself, and then we look at the rents here and it says withheld. Because I do deals in the marketplace, I know generally what these rent rates are going to be. And I can tell them from past deals we've done, but I know it can be frustrating when you're trying to find out just the price to see if it's in your price range, and you can't. Here's a good way to tell. Okay, if you see something that's Class A, like let's say, okay, this is a great example. Let's just take a look at this. If you see something that's really nice, it looks like it's new construction, it looks like something you would die to get into, that's going to be something that's generally over $30 per square foot per year. That means that 1,000 square feet is going to cost you well over $3,000, probably well over $3,500 a month. So just remember, for every 1,000 square feet, $3,500 a month in a Class A spot like this. And here's something else that can be misleading also. When we look at a spot like this, you may say, oh, this is great frontage. This looks like a really nice place here. I like the restaurant, especially for my tax office, because we're looking for an Hispanic demographic. This may be a great little enclave that we can take advantage of. And so you look at these. I like the Allied Medical Centers as well. H&R Block, they have some good tenants here that draw in people. Not a big box type draw, but good enough. Plaza Del Rey. This would be something I'd look at. Okay. Now, if somebody asks me, well, what's the rate here? You look at the numbers and it says, okay, well, it's $12 to $18 a foot. Now, most guys would get really excited because they're thinking, oh, wow, it's only going to be half the price of like the other property I just showed you. But they're not counting for the triple net cost. So when you see $12 to $18 plus this N, that's a triple net, and you have to add your common area maintenance, taxes, and insurance. Now we know that the taxes on this property are going to be $4 by itself. Now the common area maintenance and the insurance costs are going to add additional costs as well. So we're probably looking at an additional $6 to $7 that's added on to this $18. So that's really going to be close to $25 or $26 a foot total, which means 1,000 square feet equals about $2,500 a month. So when you look at these prices too, make sure to talk to your broker and look at the triple net cost, because that is going to be a factor. Now we're going to go back to the result list and just look at everything we have here. So the rental rates generally range from about $30 a foot. That's a typo. That shouldn't be 50 bucks. There's no way that's right. So let me refresh the screen. I think something's messed up here. Okay, there we go. So the rental rates generally go from 30 bucks a foot on the high side, that's plus triple net, down to a little bit less than $8 a foot or $9 a foot here. So we're looking for more of an upscale look and feel. Generally, the cheaper retail spots are going to be lower traffic. They're going to be older construction, not the real nice look and curb appeal and visibility you want. So another issue we have is we're trying to find tax offices that don't have a lot of competition, right? So what I'm going to do here, because we have to just comb through these. I don't want to leave any stone unturned. We're going to go ahead and do reports based on the tenant composition. So I'm going to do a summary of all of these options, but I'm also going to do a tenant list. Now what that does for me is it allows me as a broker to go through and I can look at the tenants of each one of these buildings to make sure that there's not another tax office there. Okay, so I hope this information was helpful to you. I'm going to print out this report. If you want a report like this, just message me and we could talk about it depending on what your market is, and we can show you how to save a ton of time, because as you can see with this, it's impossible for someone to go through themselves and try to search the internet and pull this information. It just takes too long. So that's why business users use experienced brokers here that have the resources so they can save time on doing this. But I hope this information was helpful to you, and thank you for watching.